Morning, friends, and welcome back to my kitchen. My name is Kat, and if you're new here, we have been baking our way through Some of My Best Friends Are Cookies by Amelia Jackson. Today is going to be a little bit different. I mentioned in a few of my videos that it is my husband Mark's 50th birthday coming up very soon, and we are going to do a cocktails and cake party for him for his birthday. So what I thought I would do is video making all of the different desserts that we are going to have for his party. Um, and then I will show you all of the different cakes that we're going to make. The only thing is that, of course, it's not all going to be made in one day. So what I'm thinking I'm going to do is I will record all of the components of making all the different cakes, and then I will edit them together so that you get a video of one cake at a time. I think that will be the easiest way to follow along with the recipes, um, but it does mean that I'm going to be changing looks and outfits quite a bit throughout this video, um, but I hope that you enjoy something that isn't biscuits or cookies. Um, Thanks for watching. Good morning, friends. Welcome back to my kitchen. Here we are just starting to make our lemon tart. So the tart crust is a short crust pastry, and all I am doing here is I am adding 1.5 cups of flour, 6.5 tablespoons of icing sugar or powdered sugar or confectioner's sugar, depending upon where you're from, and 2.5 tablespoons of almond meal, along with a quarter teaspoon of salt. And those dry ingredients are all just getting mixed together. Then I add 100 grams of butter, which has been cut up into cubes, and I rub the butter into the dry mixture using my fingertips. Then I add 1 large egg and I mix that together until I can't mix it with a spoon anymore, and then I turn it out and press it together into a dough. It's not really kneading, it's just kind of pressing the dough together until it's cohesive. We then flatten that out into a disc, wrap it up, and refrigerate it for 30 minutes. While our pastry is chilling, I am going to make the lemon curd. So into a saucepan, we're adding 3/4 of a cup of white sugar, 1 lemon's worth of lemon zest, which is about a tablespoon, 1/2 cup of lemon juice. Usually that would be 1 to 2 lemons, but it took me 2.5, and 170 grams of unsalted butter. I then added 3 egg yolks and 3 whole eggs. I whisked all of those ingredients together and put them on the stove over a low heat. I did whisk it constantly as the butter was melting, and then switched to a spatula, stirring it pretty frequently until the mixture was just thick enough to briefly hold its shape as I stirred it. It took about 6 minutes. I then strained my lemon curd into a bowl, or into a container technically, and I popped that into the fridge until the next day, which was the day of the party. To make the raspberry coulis, I combined 2 teaspoons of cornstarch with 1 tablespoon of water, and then I added that into a saucepan with 375 grams of frozen raspberries and a quarter cup of sugar and a teaspoon of fresh lemon juice. I then stirred that together. I let the mixture boil for 3 full minutes, and then I strained it through a strainer to remove all of the seeds. The straining took a very long time, but I think it was worth it for a nice, smooth product which doesn't have any seeds that are going to get stuck in your teeth. Now that our pastry has chilled, we are going to roll it out. The way that I rolled out my pastry was I used my adjustable rolling pin, started on the largest setting, and I gradually made it thinner and thinner as I went along. I did have to repair the edges a few times, but this method did work pretty well. We rolled it out to be about 30 centimeters around, which was about 4 millimeters thick. I then rolled the dough onto the rolling pin, lifted it onto my tart tin, gently pressed it into the tart tin, and used the rolling pin to trim off the excess dough. I then pricked the base of the pastry about 30 times with a fork, just lightly, and put the rolled out tart into the fridge for another 30 minutes. After that, I preheated my oven to 200 degrees. I covered the tart with baking paper and filled it with baking beads, and I baked it with the baking beads in it for 15 minutes, and then removed the paper and the baking beads and baked it for a further 10 minutes. I then left the tart shell to cool completely in the tin. On the day of the party, I got my cooled tart shell and my lemon curd. I put my lemon curd into the tart shell and I baked the completed tart at 160 degrees for just 5 minutes. Decorated it with some fresh raspberries and served with the raspberry coulis, and it was absolutely delicious.